My name is Daniel Robinson. I attend AC Flora, and I'm planning to major in geology at College of Charleston.
Good job.
Daniel Robinson went missing 4 months ago. This is the last photo his family has of him. He's a 24-year-old geologist, last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona.
As the Gabby Petito homicide case garners national attention, another young person has been missing for nearly 3 months, and his family is desperate to find him. 24-year-old Daniel Robinson, a geologist, was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, leaving his work site in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son. And I'm still here looking for him. Thank you all for coming in this morning. Q&A. My name is David Robinson. I'm the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. My son, Daniel, was graduated from the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. My son came out here to Arizona to pursue his career in geology. He got here in Phoenix area of Arizona. Where he landed his first job. This with Matrix New World. It's also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. From there, he got hired, like I said, as a field geologist, also called a hydrogeologist. What my son do is he goes out to different well sites located all over the state, and he checked the viability of those wells. What he does, like I said, is make sure the water's producing at least 100 years of water for most communities that built here in Arizona. That's a requirement by law, and also to check the like I said, the settlements that comes out of the well. On June the 23rd, my son was doing just that. He had went to 2 well sites. He started off with the first one that morning, and from that well site, he moved over to the one off of Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road area. What he did is he met this gentleman from a company called Weber. There's another welling company that's here in Arizona. The worker was already at the well site, what I was told, and he met my son out on the roadway. Once he got there on the roadway, my son got in a vehicle. They had a little brief discussion. My son followed the worker to the well site. I was told that they had to drive 1 mile west, and then they had to come to a T-junction area where they would have to go 2 miles north to get to this well site. Once they got to the well site, the worker said that my son and him had a conversation for almost 10 minutes, for roughly 10 minutes. And in that 10 minutes, they talk about the weather, to my son wanting to go back to Phoenix to rest. He decided he wanted to stay at the well site, and my son kind of waved off to him, got in his vehicle where he drove off and was never ever seen again. This worker said that he later decided to go look for my son. Is out of that, or is also I heard that he said my son's job call inquired about him. But either way, he went to go after my son to see what happened to him. Is he coming back? He said he went. He followed my son's tracks. He said he noticed my son's tracks on the ground because it was raining. It washed all these other tracks away. He decided to stay left of those tracks because he didn't want to disturb them, because he knew the police was going to come looking for him, and that this thing would become national, would become big. He got to the T-junction. He said he noticed the tracks go west when it should have gone east. In other words, he felt that Daniel had made a right turn instead of making the left turn at that T-junction. That left turn would have took him back to Sun Valley Parkway. He continued to follow these tracks till he came to a gate. He went inside this gate, and he drove another mile or so. Then he got out his vehicle, did a walk around the area, and then he walked up top of this hill. He looked up over the hill to try to see if he could see my son's vehicle from afar. He walked a little bit more, got back to his vehicle, and he said he also mentioned that he painted some rocks red with red paint so he could direct the officers to where these tracks led. That's the story, pretty much what I got from that worker. That's a story he told me once I got here from South Carolina. The story behind me was when my son was told that one of the coworkers came to my daughter's house inquiring about my son. Of course, my daughter, she called her dad. She called me and told me that one of the workers came looking for Dane. She thought it was strange. It was problematic for her. Of course, I'm not jumping the gun. So I was like, hey, look, why don't you go over his house and make sure he's not there? In the meantime, I would make phone calls again. Was making phone calls. Daniel, of course, was not answering his phone. It didn't dawn on me until after I realized the time difference here in Arizona and South Carolina is a bit 3-hour difference. I looked at it. According to their time, they say he roughly is gone from that work site around 9 that morning. So, of course, immediately I knew something was wrong. Because that's breaking patterns from Daniel. Daniel do not just leave without letting somebody know where he's going, family-wise. And so, of course, the first thing I wanted to do is put in a missing person report. I was hesitant of doing that because I wasn't here to watch officers who would have to go to my son's home. So I did try to call Tempe Police Department. My son at that time was a resident of Tempe. Asked them, can they do a welfare check to go check and see if he's in his home. Somehow some type of foul play could have happened, anything. He could have fell out or whatever the case may be. We did know his vehicle wasn't there. So Tempe told me they couldn't do it because I told them, also mentioned that he was last seen at the job site. Come to find out the job site was located in the area they called the White Tank Mountains. I didn't know what the White Tank Mountains was at the time. I didn't know what Sun Valley Parkway was at the time. Didn't hear those two words. But he told me it was the area that he was missing, because I mentioned the White Tank Mountains is that that's under Buckeye jurisdiction. So they gave me Buckeye's number, called that number, told him what was going on. I wanted to put in a missing person report because I know my son. They told me I had to wait an additional 3 hours because they have a 12-hour rule. So after that time, I called back again, was able to put in a missing person report, and that's how this whole thing began. They told me they was going to go out to, so Officer Cruz says he's going to go out and search for my son out there on Sun Valley Parkway. That's when I first heard of the road. I was really relieved to hear that. The officer go out there and look for my son. And once I got still doing my due diligence, I found out that my son not only was missing, he was missing off of Sun Valley Parkway and in that desert area. Once I found that out, I asked the officer, can he go out there and search for my son out there in the desert? Told me it was nighttime, they wouldn't be able to do it, but they can do it in the morning. He would have a helicopter out there to go look for my son. I felt relieved. Of course, get no sleep. I waited till that morning. Morning came, the officer got off duty. Another officer took his place. I believe his name was Officer Haley, took his place. And once he took his place, it was still said that they was going to go take this helicopter and go search for my son. I wanted to hear what the results of that was. So I waited around. About almost an hour later, they called me back and say the flight was canceled and it was unauthorized by his higher ups because they said that Daniel is a grown man. If he want to disappear, he can. After hearing that assumption that my son is want to disappear, they weren't going to go look for him, even though I told them, hey, my son is not from Arizona. His situation, as he been born with one hand, that type deal, they still felt like it wasn't an urgency to go look for my son. So I had to go do it myself. As you know, I had to grab everything I can, and I threw it in my car and started heading this way to go find my son myself. Once I got here to Arizona, on the outskirts of Arizona, I did get a phone call from my auntie, which is almost 3 days later. And I was told that they was going to put in put a helicopter in the air, a Phoenix Firebird. I was relieved to hear that, but I was already here. Of course, while I was here, I decided to work hard with the Buckeye Police Department, which I did. Cooperated as much as I can, try to get all the information that we can to them so they can have a better understanding about my son. Also did my due diligence by talking to his job, the people at his job and things like that, had set some meetings up with his company. And that's when I was able to secure a interview with the worker that last saw my son. Because one of the biggest things I wanted to do is look this man in the eye who told me my son had decided to just wave off to him and disappear, to never be seen again. That's unlike Daniel. I just wanted to see this grown man say that about my son, look me in my eye. I was able to talk to Daniel's job. They called the guy from the other company, told him I was coming out there to that well site area of the Sun Valley Park, same place. He met my son out on the road out there. Met him out there on the road. He came from out that desert. Eventually, it took him a while. He sent one other person first, but it took him a while. But eventually, he did show up. Once he showed up, we had our little conversation. That's when I heard different stories to what happened to my son. Of course, I heard the first initial story he gave me was exactly verbatim to what he told the officer. Then, as we was talking along, he told me some other details about him not hearing the helicopters that they say they had out there or seeing any officers at the well site. Even though he was there every day since my son had been missing, he was at that well site every day. And so that caused me to question if that Phoenix Airbird was ever in the air. Of course, in that conversation, he also mentioned the stand left to the tracks and that this thing was going to become big and national and that he knew the police were going to come looking, and also the thing about the red paint that he been spraying these rocks with. So those kind of stories, that kind of thing he came up with, came along with that conversation I had with him. Also, from that time, of course, the only thing that kept me from my son was that desert. I look out to that desert every day as I come out here, mostly every day as I come out there to the desert on Sun Valley Parkway. I was advised by the Buckeye Police Department not to go in the desert alone. I decided to take them up on their word, even though it was hard to do so. And I stayed out there on that road every day to try to see if I can use my binoculars to find my son. Because it didn't look like it was that. It looked like it was flat from the road, so I couldn't really tell the terrain. But I was really trying to scan the whole area. Of course, the only thing, like I said, kept me from my son, rescuing my son, was that desert and getting in that desert. So I started my own searches, which I was covering the area where the well site where Daniel was last seen. Almost 30 days later, his vehicle showed up. I got a call from the Buckeye Police Department that a rancher found my son's vehicle. They did extensive searches for over 12 of almost 20 some hours out there in the desert. And they spanned so many miles, and they did not find my son. But they do have a vehicle. I did went out to meet the officers out there to see this, hear about this vehicle more at the police station in the parking lot, where they had 2 maps and 1 picture, and he explained the whole details to me. Y'all know the story there. I just want to stop right there. But again, this is Dave Robinson, the father of Geologist Daniel Robinson. If you guys have any questions this morning, feel free to ask those questions. Just don't forget to put the word question there before you ask your question, or put a capital letter Q, or a big question mark, something so I can go down the comment section and see your questions. I will be playing this video this morning that I did last Saturday, the Saturday past here. What I did is a walkthrough of what I was told by that worker at the well site that was with my son. I did a walkthrough. I played the role of my son, and I went through this whole narrative based on what he said that my son did. Now, I will be doing that, but first I want to go down to the comment section, and I want to thank everybody who's coming in here to this Q&A. Thank you, Ra, for being here. Ra the Creator, Grand Rising to you. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Sylvester. Thank you so much for being here this morning from Facebook. Thank you, Nancy, for being here this morning from Facebook. I really thank you for coming out from Michigan. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you again. Yes, I really appreciate you being here from Minnesota, and I thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. And that's right. the Black Fathers Nation. I really appreciate it. You coming in to join on the Q&A. Thank you, Lois, for being here this morning. Thank you for coming from North Carolina. I really appreciate you being here every morning, showing support. Also, thank you, Chapters of Crime, for being here this morning from Alabama. I really appreciate you coming out this morning and spending your time here on this Q&A. Thank you, Susan, for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. God bless you. And thank you, Forever Curious. Hello to you. Good morning to you also. Thank you for coming out again. Thank you, Lakeisha, for being here this morning. Good morning to you. And thank you for all the hard work that you do out there with those flyers. I really appreciate it. Also, thank you, Barry, for being here. All your hard work that you do and everything you do on the background, back end part of the team. I'm really grateful for you being here this morning. Also, thank you, Elaine, for being here this morning. Thank you for your prayers. Matter of fact, I'm glad you said that, Elaine. We will be having the fast and prayer this Wednesday. If you guys want to join in again with us, the fast prayer, I really appreciate it. Some miracles did happen the last time we all did that together. I had some breakthroughs with being here and things like that. So things did happen. I did get some answers and things like that. So I'm looking for more. I'm looking for more blessings. I'm looking for more from God. You know what I'm saying? I'm really want to petition him to bring a closure to this thing. You know, say we want to find Daniel. Also that fasting and prayers for other families who's out there who have missing loved ones. I just talked to one last night. One of the people out there, she looked for her brother. And, so, a lot of other families out there also. So we want to share that wealth, saying I believe in prayer, and I believe in the power of prayer, and I believe in the power of fasting. Even those who don't know about fasting and prayer, if you could join in with us, I don't have a time limit. You guys can let that be on your own conscience between you and God. But I do ask you, if you can, join in so we can do this together in unison. Doing this together. And believe in something together, because that's a powerful tool. Everybody have the same mind and the same desire, and we working together with that by fasting and prayer. For those, like I say, who don't believe in fasting and prayer, it's not going to hurt. It's something you do to show solidarity, show all us standing together, believing having one common goal. Fasting helps you also spiritually as well as naturally. So. Thank you so much. If you guys can do that, the fast and the prayer, I really appreciate it. Thank you again for putting that up there. Praying for you, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Elaine. All right. Also, I have Esther here this morning. So thank you for being here, coming on the Q&A this morning. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to see you here. Thank you. Also, I have Chapters of Crime. Thank you again for being here. Shiro's Nation, thank you so much for being here. And also thank you, Jen, for being here this morning. Jen Sloan, thank you so much. Thank you for continuing your love and your wishes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kim, for being here this morning. Good morning to you, and good morning from YouTube. Thank you so much for coming out and reaching out here. I do have a question, but again, like I said, I will be playing this video shortly. It's a little 30-minute deal, so I'll be talking through that. And also, I will come back to more questions if you all have questions. If I miss your questions somehow, please forgive me. I will start off with this question, but then I will go to the video so I can go through the video of that timeline. And then we will come back to the questions and stuff. I'll come back down the comment section. Like I said, if I miss your question, please ask them again. But also, if you can, just like how Chapters of Crime done here, you can put a capital letter Q there, followed by your question. That helps out. Or if you put the word question there before you ask your question, or a big letter question mark there, things like that, that will help me find your question as I'm coming down. But I do want to say real quick, I'll come back to that. Thank you, Gina, for being here. Thank you for all your hard work you do in the back. Thank you for coming out to the searches. I want to appreciate it. I want to say that again. Thank you so much for coming out to searches this Saturday past and being out there to help on that line search. So thanks so much. Sending love to Enlight. Thank you, Jocelyn, for being here. Mary, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Also, thank you, AP, for being here. But I want to go back to the question and say I heard there was an issue with a woman, Daniel, right before his disappearing. Any knowledge of this? Well, I don't know if it's called really an issue, but there was she's in that report. So she's a subject of that of this whole matter. Being that the Buckeye Police Department saw fit that she had some role to Daniel. What it is, if you don't know, or many don't know, my son, he had worked for Instacart also. He did a side job to make ends meet. And you asked why he did it as a geologist. He had to upkeep some of the expenses that it takes to work out there in that desert. His company will reimburse him once he turned in an expense report. And so to keep his bills on time, he did work Instacart for his money to make sure his bills on time and things like that. On that job at night, he met these two women. One was they both ordered some wine, I guess it was. My son told me, I only could go by what my son told me. It won't be by the report. But they ordered some wine. They had some issues with the order. My son was able to correct that issue. The women was very satisfied with that. They were very happy. They invited him into their home, where he really met with the one that was there. And so anyway, the story is that my son told me that he spent the night there with this young lady, and in that by him doing so, he left his canopy in her backyard, which I didn't know at the time why he have a canopy in her backyard. But after that point, yes, he was able to come back and try to retrieve that canopy. She didn't answer her text message. He went to go retrieve it, but he did get a text message from her saying, don't come there uninvited. She's seen something on her cam when he went there to retrieve his canopy. His canopy is something he needed for his job. Very important. He's working out there in the sun. That canopy keeps the sun off of him. So being that she didn't answer, he knew where he left it in her yard. He just took it upon himself to get it. And that's the end of that story. Now, one of the things I can say about that story is that the Buckeye Police Department allowed this woman to upload her own information into their report. They didn't do a warrant to get her phone and get these information out there to put in their report. They allowed her to actually, upon herself, they took her word for everything, a storyline or whatever the case may be, a hearsay type testimony, and they put it in their report as the facts. Without having my son's side of the story, meaning that they didn't go through my son's phone to get any text messages that would match everything that was said by this young lady, but they allowed her to upload it, like I said, to her by her own will and her own way to upload it into their report. So that's still some of the issues I have with that. If y'all have any more questions about that, I can go a little deeper into that, but that's the gist of this young lady. So thank you for your question. Again, I will be doing this video real quick here, but I want to get a couple more people here. Thank you also, T and Wildflyers for being here this morning. Good morning to you. I really appreciate your prayers and everything. So God bless you. I also want to thank Alexa for being here this morning from Austin, Texas. Thank you, Alexa, for being here with the Facebook. Through Facebook. I really appreciate it. Again, thank you, Barry, for being here. And you guys, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. That's what kept me here. That's what's getting me farther out my son's story out there. I can reach more people. So every time you do that, say I made it to 1,000 subscribers really quickly here. And I'm really grateful that you all done that. That's you. Those numbers are actually you who's here. And that's your numbers. I don't look at numbers. I like to look at people. So when I see these numbers, I know there are people and they represent you. They represent your voice and things like that. So thank you for helping me get the YouTube channel up and to where it's at now. Also, thank you, Shauna, for being here, being part of the team. And I really appreciate it that you came out to help as a moderator and everything you do in the background, helping me stay straight. So helping the team stay straight. So I really thank you for all your hard work and everything you do with the flyers and everything else. So God bless you on that. Alexa, she has a question here. Is foul play still being ruled out? Well, foul play for me has never been ruled out. It's been ruled out by the Buckeye Police Department. But me as a father, it wasn't ruled out. It was ruled in ever since day one. I know my son. I know his patterns, and it's highly unlikely my son would do what the Buckeye Police Department suggests, that he somehow drove around that desert for 30 days and he finally wrecked his vehicle. Because, you got to remember there was a rancher story there too. The one who had found the vehicle, they selectively not put in his whole statement in their police report. this rancher said the vehicle wasn't there 2 to 3 days prior to it being there. He's been there through there already. His cattle run through there, and his cattle was run down that ravine. So he was there 2 to 3 days prior to that. The vehicle being found on July the 19th, and the vehicle wasn't there. But lo and behold, when he came back through there again to see if those cattle was there, came through there, the vehicle was there. So to take Buckeye's story, Daniel had been riding around that desert without gas for almost 30 days without somebody seeing him, and finally wrecked his car. And they saying they believe that he, after all this, he didn't sustain no injuries other than he had a severe head injury where he kicked his way out the sunroof. That head injury caused him to shred all his clothes off, because that's what head injuries do, make you hot. And again, I'm gonna remind you, I had a head injury from Afghanistan. I never had a desire or anything to shred my clothes, but that's what they say. He shredded all his clothes from his underwear to his socks and put it out there on the ground on purpose, all this on purpose. And he walked off into the desert, butt naked, and to go up on a tree somewhere to cool off, and probably succumb to his injuries. All of a sudden now you have injuries, succumb to his injuries, and some animal could have gotten him. Or another scenario was that maybe he wanted to be away from his family, join a monastery, and become a monk. Those are the things that they want us to believe. And to back that up, they gave me the vehicle the very next day on the 20th. They turned the vehicle back over to me, gave it to me a few days after that, after I had a meeting with the Buckeye Police Department chief and his assistant chief. Right after that meeting, they gave me everything on that scene. It was marked for safekeeping. That means that they saying that Daniel was going to come back and grab his things. So they never did think of this whole thing as a foul play or even possible foul play. And in order for them to give me evidence that should have been in the evidence locker somewhere to this day, just in case there is, like you say, foul play. So they didn't have any intentions of that, and it's still that way with Buckeye Police Department, but it's not that way with me as a father from day one, because I know my son. All right, thank you so much for your question. All right, I have Gwen here. Thank you, Gwen, so much for being here this morning. Thank you for all the hard work you do and everything you do, and I really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for taking your time to be here and all the efforts and work that you do. And I know it'll take a lot on your behalf. Please continue to share Daniel's story. The Robinson family thanks you all for your continued love and support, and that's the truth. We really do. And I'm really grateful for everybody here. I love everybody here who support, and thank you so much for being here this morning. Esther Levy has a question. What time did the coworker knock on your daughter's door? I don't know the exact time, but it was sometime that morning, I guess, or no, it was sometime that afternoon. I want to say not the morning. It was. That's why I knew the time was a little too far for my son to have been gone over 6 hours. That's not like my son to be able to be out somewhere without saying anything. But I'm going to get to this video really quick here, so we can have this time to share. But I want to go through a couple more questions. But to answer that question, it was sometime the afternoon, late after 12. So thank you for your question. It was one coworker who remembered where my daughter's apartment is that came by. I think he came by in the past with Daniel to see his sister. So that's how I remember, from what I understand, where she lived. So yes, thank you for your question, Esther, and thank you for being here this morning, showing up here this morning on this Q&A. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it for everything you're doing on Twitter, and also here on Facebook, showing up here on Facebook. So thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I get it. You say about the craziness on Twitter. I've been hearing some things. So you guys, yes, you might see some things out there in the comment section. I don't get the comment section too much. Like I told you, that's the reason why when I come down this comment section, I ask you guys to put the question mark there and things like that. That way I can know it's a question. But there's some things we're going around. I'm hearing in the comment section, and we're looking into those too. So thank you so much, Elaine. Also, I have a question here from Kim. Thank you, Kim, for being here this morning. Mr. Robinson, has the company that Daniel worked for help with the search or anything? Thank you. Well, yes, they had workers that come. I don't know if it's like I keep saying, it's a work mandate that, hey, the boss or the old owners say, hey, we're going to have you all go out to help the father out there search on his searches. But they did have at least about 7 of them show up at the beginning portions of my search. From the day I first started my search out there, they were out there to help out. They stayed there for at least a month or two, about 2 months in that search, coming out there to the searches. And since then, they have dropped off, except for one, Daniel's supervisor, immediate boss. He comes out every so often to this date. He'll come out sometimes to help. As in searching for Daniel, the only search I ever heard anything similar to a search is when that coworker came knocking on my daughter's door, inquiring the location of Daniel. Other than that, there has not been any efforts from that company to go out there in that desert to look for Daniel. They didn't provide any assistance, as in helicopters and things like that, before I got here to Arizona. So no, they did not do any type of searching out there other than coming out. Some of the workers, I don't know, like I said, it was a job mandate, or some workers got together and say, hey, we want to go help that father out and come to some of his searches. So that will answer the question. But I'm going to jump to this video really quick here, you guys. I do have one more question I'm taking. I have to take this one. And after I have this question, I will go ahead and play the video, and I'll talk through the video after the video is over. And then we'll go ahead and come back to the questions. And if I miss your questions, please ask the question again. You can do like Keisha here. Put the word question there first, followed by your question, or you can put the big question marks there. And like Kim did on the other one I just came from, and followed by your question, or a big capital letter Q something that will let me know that you have a question there. Thank you, Lakeisha, like I said, for everything you do. Was Daniel already in Levine when he got the Instacart order or for the wine? I would assume he had to be, because Levine is a different place from Tempe, and is also a different place from Phoenix. So for him to be in an area like that, yes, he had to already be there. I don't know how Instacart work. I really don't know the ins and outs, how you really do you have to stay in one sector, or you have to stay in one city. I really don't know how that worked, but if he had to deliver there, that's the reason why he would be there. I guess he was working in that area. So a lot of these cities here, as you know, Lakeisha, a lot of these cities here are joined together in the sense that right next to each other. You just drive into one. You wouldn't know that you can go through a traffic light, and another side to Tempe, for instance, here from Phoenix. So I really don't know how really, like I say, Instacart works. So I really don't know how to really answer that one, if he was already there or not. So I will be looking into that and get those answers. That's the reason why I'm getting the forensics work done on his phone and things like that. That would determine and say a lot of places that Daniel have been and what he was doing. So, and also Instacart. I've been imploring the Instacart to try to get information from them. It's very hard. I can't get them to budge, but I'm going to keep trying to get all the information I can. So thank you so much for that question. And again, you all, if you can bear with me, I'm going to play this video. What it is I did a walkthrough of the story from the guy at the well, the worker. I was out there Saturday. Did it one time before. Some way the video got deleted. I'm trying it again, and I went out there after the volunteers left. I had the searches on the Saturday. Very successful search. When I say successful, meaning that I had enough people to do a line search, a really good line search. The people out there worked hard that morning. The sun did come up, but God bless it. We had a nice cool breeze that was blowing through, so that helped out a lot. But we did cover a lot of ground. We covered out the area that we really wanted to get touched. We do have more of that area to search next time. But we did cover a lot of it, and we did find some bones and things like that, but we don't know what they are. Some we can obviously tell that was animal bone, but others, so like I said, those pictures are sent up to my website, and also, like I said, so that we can go to the Buckeye Police Department and go to my investigator and also myself, and those guys will determine, my investigator and also the Buckeye Police Department can determine what those bones really are. None of those are professionals out there, so I always try to make sure that those pictures make it up to the website where I have it linked to go to these different places. So, really grateful for the volunteers that was out there to help. A lot of them, we had a lot of new people that showed up that haven't been out to the searches before. And I was really happy to see them. It's almost like we had more new people than we had the people that comes out every weekend to the search. So I'm really grateful for those who came out. They're part of the family. And just grateful. I just had a grateful time for all the volunteers that came out. But again, after that search, I did do a run through. I had to take care of some other things out in the desert. but also had to do a run through of what this guy said well. So without further ado, I'm ready to go ahead and play this thing. And as I play it, I just want you guys to just listen. Just listen. I may stop here and there and explain some things and stuff like that. So here I go. Thank you so much. Okay, this is Dave Robinson. I'm getting ready to do a run through of everything that was told to me about my son when he went missing. Walkway here. This is the road. One time ago, this road was called the Road to Nowhere. You probably could tell why. Other than they put a community down on both ends. But this is the gate right here. This is where we have our searches. I have that sign there. I'm getting ready to take that down once I'm done here today. This is where we come in. That's the Cactus Road sign there on the road there. We use that as a landmark, but actually we come in this gate here. So this is the gate here. But anyway, my son came here, supposedly. This is a story. He met the gentleman here. The only guy that seen my son last at the well site, he met him here at this gate. Story was, the gentleman came from that road there, met my son right here where this truck, this U-Haul truck is. Met him out here on the road. And like I said, they had a little conversation, but I was told from that point, my son got back in his vehicle, his Jeep Renegade. See if I can do this right. He followed the guy down into the well site, and this is how we do it. Oh, I dropped the phone. This is how we do it. It's gonna be a long video. Taking my ride down here, but I'm gonna try to drive fast as I can. Not too fast. It's loose. You know, we do a lot of travel through here, so the dirt is really dry and loose. But I can tell you, you can see right here, you probably can't see it from the camera screen, but there's a lot of tracks here. There's tracks that we did. A lot of people do come down here now, especially we do our searches and things like that. So y'all's gonna have tracks, right? We didn't come down this far today because we stopped about here because we did our we stopped at the gate where we had our meet up at, and then we went back on the main road and went up north to do our line searches. So we definitely went down here, but you can see all these tracks on the ground right here. These tracks been here for years. I mean, not years, for months. I'll take that back. I don't want to say years. They've been here for months. You can even see the ones right there on the shoulder, right? You can mind you, these tracks didn't happen. They always here. You can see, if you look real good, you can see a track leading off over there. These tracks been here for months. Every time I come down here, you're always gonna see tracks on this road, right? Whether it rain or whether it don't rain. Even after the rain, you're always gonna have these tracks on the road. So you know where I'm going to. I can't tell you over here to the right here, it's a new well site they putting in. All that wasn't there. They just really starting this new well site there. They already had put one previously. It's another one really closely out there now working, but they did one closer to here. I'll come up to it shortly. But this is the road. You supposed to travel like a mile down here west. What I'm doing is going west right now, down this road here. All right, into the desert. We're going farther and farther into the desert. So, again, I am doing the storyline of what the guy at the well told me, not what he told Buckeye. You know, what he told me with the two witnesses I had. Said my son followed him down here, so I'm planning to roll up my son. So I'll be planning to roll up my son, and I will be going down here where I think it happened, exactly how he told me. All right, but I'm gonna point out some things as I'm going, like this right here, this area over here. If I can see it, that's the new well site they're putting in. That's the first one they did recently, and the one I showed you a while ago, that's the second one they're doing on now. But this is that's a well site that they just completed. But anyway, we're going to the well site where my son was supposedly last seen. Now, mind you, you look at the road as I'm traveling, you see all these tracks. We did not make these today. These tracks been out for weeks. So we got some bovines out here, so you're gonna see some cattle. I saw them when I was coming up. Bighorn cattle, they out here in the field. One right here on the shoulder of the road. Got like a whole herd of them to my left there, but this is one I got to watch out for them because they will attack and tear up your vehicle. So he's really nervous right now. I'm not gonna mess with the big fella. But anyway, he's probably wondering what I'm doing. But they got him out here, so we have to be careful with that. I tell the volunteers we're out here searching. We stay out of their way, they definitely stay out of ours. They try to get away. So, volunteers and myself, I haven't seen none in a while. But anyway, what I did is turn left. What I meant to say, I just turned off to the right. I meant to say I turned off to the right, and this is that was a mile down, and I just turned to the right. I kind of missed it where that cattle was sitting on that corner. I just turned to the right, and now I'm going up towards the north, up towards the well site, right? And it's supposed to be 2 miles from that point up here. Now, I should have looked at the mileage right here. This is the mileage I got here, where I'm at now. And then I'm gonna put the mileage down when I get to this well site. See if that's 2 miles, right? So it's a little ways up. It's up and down, so you can see this camera bouncing all over the place. But I'm trying to do my best. I don't like to be out here in this desert by myself. You know, a few people know I'm out here. You know, my search coordinator, logistics coordinator know I'm out here. One of the volunteers know I'm not, 2 of the volunteers know I'm out here. But you know, like I said, I'm not really comfortable being out here by myself in this desert. This is where my son went missing. A lot of other people been found out here, so I had to always protect myself at all times. But I do want to let y'all see the story line. Now, this is the road. You see how tight this road is, so I want to keep that in mind. This is a really tight road. A vehicle come the other direction, it would be very hard for that vehicle to pass. I literally have to get on the shoulder to, you know, let that vehicle pass. Anyway, we're going up. All right. We're almost there. I see the little tank that they use. That tank, mind you, the tank wasn't there. All the stuff wasn't this big. This clearing that I'm driving up now, it wasn't this wide because, you know, we traveled it so much in the past. Of course, the dirt, the road get more defined, and, you know, the vegetation's not there, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, so anyway, this is the tunnel. When I get to this point, this is where it stops. I'm looking at the mileage now, so I can look back at it later. And then when you do it, it's turn left. Then you have to turn left, right? To get to this well site. So now we turn it left. All right, this is the well site. Right now, only problem is all this right here, this clearing, it wasn't like this. All this brush like you see on the side, that was real close to the well site. But this is the well, right? They say my son was last seen that. They didn't have this tank here, the tank wasn't there. And that's why they cleared this area, because they was bringing this tank in. Because they pull water out this well now. That's why they got this machine on. But anyway, this is the tank. But he said, my son was here at this well site, and his story is that they had a brief conversation at this well site, roughly 10 minutes. My son was staring off into the desert. Now you see all this brush, and I'm gonna tell you, now, like I told you, all the stuff that you see right there, all this clearing wasn't here. It was really close to this well site. They just cleared this area. But if you look at this in the summertime, it's green, and he said he was staring off into the desert. Where he was staring off to? Bushes? Why would I be just staring off looking at the bushes or whatever? So I don't know. Okay, let's go with that. Then he said my son drove off from this well site, waved and drove off. Now he's still at the well site, so he can see my son driving off until he gets up here this road where we're about to turn. Once we turn, he don't see my son no more, because you can see how this terrain made. So all he can see is my son traveling up here, right? But what I was gonna say to you before I start, let's say my son went ahead and left and he couldn't see him till he got to the turn up here, this turn. But he said after a while he was gonna search for my son. Now you see this ground right here, how wide it is, of course. Now he stayed left of the tracks. Let's pretend that all these tracks you see on the ground is not there. And I need to get out of the car so you can see how many tracks there is, because there's a lot of cars. And these tracks are from the many times that people like myself and volunteers came out here for months. These tracks are still here even after the rains that we had here. So he had to literally, see all these tracks, none of them been washed away. This is not coming from the U-Haul truck that I just drove. These are tracks that come from months of driving down this terrain, right? And I'm gonna continue to do that also off and on. Let's see here. Anyway, now we get to this T-junction here. Now this is a different T-junction. This T-junction is where you can go up here north, and you can go to another well site, right? And that's the north well site. But I'm gonna go right back. He said my son must have left this area. He didn't say he went up this way. He said he went back to the T-junction and he went right. So if he was talking about this T-junction, he go right. That's that direction Daniel's supposed to go, right? To get to the other T-junction, right? So the well site is back there. We just turn the corner. You can still see the tank over there. All right. Now, mind you, he said I stayed left of his tracks. Now look at this, how this track's made. Again, I made a turn. Now, if he's stayed left of the tracks, I was trying to figure out how he stayed left of the tracks. He said he some reason he wants to stay left of the tracks of Daniel's tracks, right? And I'm gonna tell you, you can let the orientation of my vehicle, even if I'm over to the shoulder to the side over here. Even over here, another vehicle would not be able to pass right there to both sides. So to stay up to the left of the tracks would be kind of nearly impossible. And the only reason why you got tracks all over the place because we just drive all over the place when we come up this thing. So nobody, you kind of just stay in the middle or wherever you want to, however you want to drive it, right? So again, he drove down. He said, "Hey, I followed his son." And I stayed left to the tracks. I don't know how you do. He said I stayed left because I didn't want to disturb the tracks, and because if I didn't want to disturb the tracks because I know the police will come looking, and this thing is gonna turn big. It's gonna go national, right? So he stayed left of the tracks. I'm trying to do the best I can to stay left of the tracks, right? Really meaning that I'm really covering some of that other track on the other side because it's like I said, it's not wide enough to go all the way over to try to. Go left of tracks. And mind you, I told you this place wasn't wide as this either, because they just really started scraping this area again and widening this road for they bring these new wells in. So it wasn't as wide either. They really just did some digging to try to widen it up a little bit more. But it wasn't like this either. So it's even tighter. It's even narrower back then, last summer. But let's say he said all of this. He kept going. By the way, oh no, I already passed it. But he kept going, stayed left of the tracks because he didn't want to disturb them. Now that means all those other tracks that you see on the ground, it was gone. That's how you knew it was Daniel. That he claiming, right? So keep on going. Oh, let me back up real quick. By the way, right here is, let me back up a little bit if I can. Where that little, I don't know if you can see that little, let's see if I can zoom in. Yeah, little pallet sitting there. This is where the other sock was found, near the well site over here. So that's where the other sock was found of Daniel's. That was matching the sock in the evidence that they had that Buckeye collected, right? Anyway, like I said, to continue on this trip, he claimed he stayed left to the tracks because it's the only tracks that survived. Now all these tracks still survived. Now, you know I didn't make all these tracks with this one truck, and we didn't come through here today. And I can tell you that none of the volunteers came through here. I haven't come through here today because we was working on a different side of the desert. But this is the T-junction. Two things can happen. My son can get confused at this point and say, did I turn right when I came here? Or did I just kept going straight or left or what? He couldn't go left because there's nothing there to go left, right? So in his mind, he had to wonder if he had to go, when he came down here from this direction, did he come down here and did he turn left or right at this point? Because he know, nah, he couldn't. He know he didn't come from this direction because he didn't make a left turn. You know, he knew he would have known he made a right turn to get in here. But anyway, let's say he got confused and say, hey, I need. I mean, he knew he had to make a right turn to get in here. So let's say he make a right turn out of here because he got confused or something. That means that he had to get confused and say, well, I don't remember this, but maybe I did go down this hard dip that I had to slow down because this dip been here forever. This dip will tear your vehicle up. You have you bounce all over the place. So he had to purposely go down here. Mind you, now this is wider, so it's a lot plausible for him to stay left until tracks. But there's many tracks down here. Like I said, okay, let me go back to this again. Get out this vehicle. He's staying left of the tracks. Again, we had rain. We had rain since Daniel been missing. Since the last time I had my searches out in this area. There are tracks here from who knows how long. I don't know if we can really see it with the camera angle, but it's a lot of tracks out here. There's tracks that just have not washed away, so it's impossible to even kind of hardly even see these tracks, first of all, but to be able to follow them is another thing. So we're gonna keep going. He said he followed for a mile down and he got to T-junction. He drove another mile, right? I want to stop real quick for you guys. Also, I want to mention that I am going west. Once I came out of that to that T-junction to make that right, I am going west. So he did say that Daniel went west, farther out into the desert, and I'm gonna show you why that is different too. If you guys pay attention, I'm gonna stop the camera again, and I'm gonna explain that to you. But yes, at this point, I'm going west. Follow these tracks. Stay to the left of it. There's some more people out here in this desert. I've seen them on their little razors and things, so kind of watching out who's who and who's out here and things like that. So, but anyway, he said he drove for like a mile or so. So I get it. Get down, try to get a mile in. Then he said he came to the gate. He said he went through this gate, he unlocked this gate, he went through it. This is the gate that I can think of you talking about. Because we always come through this gate and we go to the, we had to get to Daniel's, where Daniel's vehicle was found. We had to go through this gate, right? Okay, also I want to mention to y'all that the direction I was going now is south. So what happened is you leave that T-junction, you make a right turn, that's going west, but the road curves around to start going southward. So now it's going south. So you come up to this gate, but this road is actually going south. It's no more west, it's going south. So when they say, hey, he got a T-junction, he went west, yeah, west meaning that he made a right turn, but doesn't mean that he kept going straight west out in the desert. He's saying that he went west as in turning, obviously, because you, like I said, you don't see any anything. You can't just drive over terrain and keep going west. So he had to start going south, and that's where he had made it to this gate. So that's the story, but we're gonna keep going. So he said he got out his vehicle. I'm sure he had to get out his vehicle to do so. I had to make sure this gate shut back when I get done. Make sure don't like his gate open. All right, now okay, continue on. Went through the gate. Well, I probably have to shut this gate behind me because the cattle is running around. So bear with me, people. Try to make this quick as possible. Okay, now, all right, continue on our journey. All right, now, he said he drove and get through the gate. He drove some mile, another mile or so down the road. I think he said a mile or two. Remember, he's still staying left of these tracks. Even though all these tracks are here on the ground, I don't know if y'all can see them. I can clearly see them. I don't know if the camera's picking them up, but I can tell you there's so many tracks there, it would be kind of hard to determine which track is which. But somehow, all these tracks has been washed away, and Daniel tracks is the only one that survived, right? So, I don't know if the camera picking these tracks up, but I can tell you there are multiple tracks. I'm going to get out real quick to prove that point before I go disturbing these tracks. But these are tracks right here on the ground. Again, you see tracks all over the place. These tracks are because people travel through here all the time. These tracks do not get washed away from the rain. Again. Okay. Anyway, he's traveled, and this is the power station I was telling you guys about. I don't know if I can see it back there, but anyway, power station there, which I know is an infrastructure, and I always felt like I didn't understand why, with the infrastructure that size, they do not have cameras. That's something that need to be protected at all times. But anyway, he drove a mile or so, and all that I could think of when he drove this far, he said he got out and got up on a hill. Now, you don't come into any hills yet. I come through here. I come through here all the time. We know how I know this thing like the back of my hands. So there's no hill. Only place I could think of, he got out of his vehicle and climbed on top of the hill to see a vantage point where Daniel was. See if you can see Daniel from a distance. Would have been the hill where Daniel's vehicle was found. And those right there straight ahead above me. But those hills, for him to climb that hill, yeah, I would see why he would climb up that far, because those are really tall hills, right? So he had to come out here to what we call this is a water retention area, but we call it the quarry area. This is where we have our meet up sometimes. We have volunteers come down here. Volunteers come through this gate all the time and come down here because it's closer to the point where, like I say, the vehicle found. So we had to come through here. So I'm going pretty much the same direction that we'll have this safety briefing. But anyway, he said he did a mile, so I don't know how much a mile. I probably already passed a mile or so. But unless he was talking about getting up on these hills here, all around here is the hill, right? Oh, this hill on this side here, I'm not sure. But only thing I can assume is to get to this mile is to get about this far, about where I'm at now. He said he got out of his vehicle and he walked up on the hill to see if he could see Daniel from afar. So I don't know. There's a lot of hills over there too. I don't know if he because you can't get over there with his vehicle. So I don't know if he walked through all that brush to get over there on the hills. But on the plausible place I can think of is because of the way this areas where you can actually drive. We drive up those. You got a 4x4 vehicle. You can actually drive up this hill. Because this hill right here leads you right to Daniel's vehicle. You can't do it with his truck, and I ain't gonna try because I tried before and got come right back down that hill. So this is a two-wheel drive, but I can't go up that hill. But I would walk up there and show you the crash site again. But the crash site is right over that hill. I'm trying to turn this vehicle around because I don't like the position I'm in. In case I need to get out of here in a hurry. But you have to go up this hill up here to get to Daniel's vehicle. So I could see him get up on this hill and looking out in this area to try to see if he can see Daniel's vehicle. But then he said he painted some rocks with red paint. But I can't tell you again. Let me get out this vehicle. Daniel's vehicle was found right above up that hill up here. I want to mention one other thing to you guys. That tracks that you see up on that hill, that wasn't there when Daniel's vehicle was out there. It's another distance away from that hill. Once you go up the hill up there, I would say is about 800 or so feet from that hill is where the ravine is, where Daniel's vehicle was found. But like I said, traveling up that hill like that, that wasn't there. None of those tracks was there. That was a way that the Buckeye Police Department went to the scene. And from that point, of course, more and more we keep traveling that thing, it started digging in and made a path that hill. So I want to make sure you guys know that there wasn't a track or anything there before the Buckeye Police Department went out to to the scene where Daniel's vehicle was found. Matter of fact, the rancher he described that land as clean because there wasn't in that area. There wasn't no track. That's his land. That's his area. There was no tracks and things like that up on that area. But I can tell you on the other side of that hill also is BLM land, Bureau of Land Management. I have reason to believe that Daniel's vehicle was found on federal property. And so that definitely is the hill that leads to where Daniel's vehicle was found. Like I said before then, there was no tracks there. So it wasn't a place that Daniel would have drove up that way to get to that scene, that vehicle itself. So definitely, like I say, all that tracks there, all that movement, all this tearing on that hill came from us, the volunteers, myself with razors and all kind of equipment. We ride up there to get to that scene a lot. So I just want to mention that. On the other side of this hill, I would go out there as a little farther than that hill once you go over the hill. But like I'm saying, for my safety today, I don't have a spotter or anybody with me, and things I just don't do desert out here by myself. So I walked out there before and I did a live out there by myself, but today I just don't have that energy and that thrill to go out there and go out into that site by myself today. So just wanted to show y'all that. That's his drive-through, pretty much. Unless, like I said, he went over there to this area. I'm gonna turn down this road because there's another way I can get out. Unless he came from over here somewhere, and like I said, if he got out of his vehicle and he wanted to walk way up down the hill over there, I can't see how he did that. He had to go through. Well, we did line searches over there, but I'm saying you literally had to go through all that brush. If you can see there, all that greenery, that's a lot of brush you have to walk through. And that guy, I don't know. He might be more energetic than me, but that do some little trail right there. He must, unless he went over there that trail and then walk way up there to that vantage point. Look, I don't see what he meant by that. You know what I'm saying? Or if he came up here to this vantage point, and some reason he called us a hill, walk up on the hill. He stopped down here and he walk up this point and then look over here to try to see if he see Daniel. The whole point is, this is not far from where it's only 3 miles, about 3 miles from the well site where Daniel was last seen. Now, only about 3 miles. So it wasn't a big significant type deal. So I can't say that much. Okay, I just want to add also for you guys, if you can see how the vehicle is jumping around, right? I'm holding the camera as steady as I can because I'm holding it with my hands. So of course I would be a little more steadier than just having it mounted on the vehicle. If it's mounted on the vehicle, you'll see all this jumping around with the camera. So just having it in my hand and made it a little more stable. But I can tell you, just riding on the road that being created by people constantly riding back and forth, right, through that desert is rough. You get to bouncing around and things like that. The volunteers will tell you it's not just a smooth sailing type deal. Could you imagine if we listen to the story of the Buckeye Police Department to say that Dane's vehicle got up to 30-some miles per hour? It did get up to the speed before the crash, right? Before the airbag, that's called the airbags deploy. But you can't say it happened there on the terrain. That's what my investigator was saying. It was enough distance for that vehicle to be able to do it. And also because of the terrain. Could you imagine me with that U-Haul decide to leave the road right there and start riding up all that brush and everything, those dips and dives and those ravines and those crevices and all that, and I can get that U-Haul truck somehow up to 30-some miles per hour? It wouldn't happen. I can tell you the guys that we tried it with razors. We tried it. These are vehicles designed for that terrain, and we couldn't get those vehicles up to that speed. So, but they have you to believe that the crash happened, the initial crash happened at that ravine. So you guys need to know that. I just wanted to put that out also. That been put out. But anyway, I'm going back to the front. I'm gonna do some more other kind of some more type drive-through deals for now. I really thank you all for giving me the opportunity to do that. I just wanted to try to make some sense of this guy's story. Like I told you, it'd be nearly impossible to stay to the left of those tracks, like he was saying, and you know, and then it's also impossible to say that only his tracks, all these tracks that's out here in this desert got washed away, and only thing that survived was Daniel's. I was just out here, just leaving out here the first time, and I went to go check something else out earlier, and I passed by some people on razors and stuff out here. This Easter, the Passover or Easter, some people call it Easter or whatever, holiday, and people out here, I couldn't get a razor today. I couldn't even get a razor because people rent them out really fast, and I needed that for the volunteers today, but I wasn't able to get one because they ran out. But people out here using their razors and stuff like that because they like to joyride and all that kind of stuff out in the desert. So I did run into some people, and like I said, let me stop again. I'm gonna do this one more time just to prove my point. I hope this camera can actually pick this stuff up, because I just want to make the point I'm making is, I don't believe this. You notice my son's tracks. Out of all these tracks that's on the ground, you notice my son's track. These are tracks right here, all the way off the ground, and they have never been washed away. And I'm telling you guys, I come out in the desert all the time, and I see tracks from people, I mean, who probably been out here months ago. Tracks we probably made months ago. You go on the ground, just see these tracks still here, and you know, it's impossible to have tracks that he's saying is somehow, you know, washed away by water. And then the funny part about it, like I said, it don't rain like that here in Arizona. Not this time. That's a significant rain since November last year, and so it's no significant rain, first of all. And then when it did rain during the winter time or whatever, these tracks are still here. So I don't believe that. I don't believe that story, not a little bit, about my son's tracks. Now I can remind you, I'm gonna go one more place, one more time, one more again, to an area that I want to say real quick so I can get out of this desert. I need to get out of here really quick. It's been 30-minute video. And what I would do is start at the T-junction, because I want to see which is 2 miles. I think I forgot to put the mileage down for the first time I went through. And I said I wanted to show you all the mileage. 1 second here. Oh man. And then the funny part about another thing is, I wish I turn this off. Let me turn this vehicle off real quick. I want to see something too. Let y'all hear something. How quiet it is out here in this desert. Very quiet. Let's see. Okay, I'll shut this door. Okay. Come on, car. All right. Now, I'm gonna be quiet, and how quiet it is out here. Only thing you can hear is the wind. Only thing you can hear is the wind and bugs, right? And you can hear things far off. Well, this guy at the well, last guy that seen my son, he told me that he was here at that well site when the Buckeye Police Department said they was doing their, they told me they was doing their, they did a search for my son with a Phoenix Firebird helicopter. And they came to the well and they did an extensive search for my son on, it was June the 26th when I got here in Arizona. They put on 25th on their report, but I have got June the 26th when I got here, because I remember when my auntie called me and told me they said they could put a Firebird helicopter in the air. So how quiet it is, I want to show you how quiet it is. And you tell me this guy said to me that he was there at the well site. He was there at the well site when the day they're supposed to be doing that. He was working that day, and I said, "Oh, okay, good. That means that you was here when the Buckeye Police Department came to search the well, and they had the helicopter." He said, "I heard they're supposed to be doing something like that, but," he said, "I haven't personally seen any helicopter or them come out to the well site." So how can you not see that? Or, you know, first of all, if you haven't seen them at the well site, you at the well site, they didn't come. So that's a lie. If, you know, they want to believe everything else he said, I believe what he said too on that then. And also, how quiet it is out here. It's literally impossible not to hear a helicopter in the air. A Firebird, I mean, to me, Firebird sound like a fast helicopter, a real powerful one or something. It don't sound like some little drone or something, like a drone or whatever. It sounds like an actual helicopter. So I'm sure it made a lot of noise if they was looking for my son. I know they was looking for a guy in my neighborhood, went missing, and that helicopter was flying around the house in that area. We're in the house, and we can hear that thing sound like the helicopters just really, really loud. You can hear them out there. So they make a lot of noise, and it's impossible for those guys, if they did that, didn't do it. But let me turn this camera to mileage. And they said it was 2 miles to this junction. I'm back at the T-junction. I'm gonna do this one more time, and I got this desert. All right, this is the T-junction. My son came from that direction, and he had to make a right turn right here to this guy to get to the well site with the guy, right? So I'm gonna start with this mileage now. It's what's that? 12340. All right. Now we're going back towards the well site again, but this time I'm not going to the well site where Daniel was found. Last seen him at, but I'm going to the one where that's north of that, right? North of where Daniel was last seen. And the reason I'm going to that one because I want to see the mileage. It is if that's 2 miles, or is the mileage to the well site that he was last seen is the 2 miles that they're talking about. Because I'm really confused, and I really have suspicions about which well they trying to claim that they was at, right? So I'm checking the mileage. The only thing I can go by is the 2 miles. 1 mile down and 2 miles up. And also the fact that I checked the second well site that's north of what I'm going to, and there's something on the bottom that need to be checked. There's a lot of debris there. Somebody dumped a lot of dirt down in that well. So I'm going to, all right, I'm trying to move fast because I want to get out of here. I want to get out this desert. I'm tired, need to get back. I had to go have a city distribution this afternoon at 3:15, and I have to get back. So, and I'm hungry, very hungry this morning, today. All right, but we almost there. I'm gonna mark the mileage for the turn to the first well site again to make sure I'm right. And I'll just look at the video and I'll get the calculations later. I can't calculate while I'm doing this, but I'll calculate it. You guys can calculate it while you're watching this video. All right, let's see. So I don't go by what people give me story-wise. I came on here from South Carolina, and the only thing I can do is go by what people told me what happened to my son. You know, the storyline. All right, this is right here, the T Johnson right here that goes. So look at all these tracks. If you look straight ahead, all those tracks on the ground still. Hope for the smoke get there. All those tracks never been washed away. I haven't been up that way yet. And this is where the tracks that leads to, and they on the ground here. None of them been washed away. All these tracks been here for months. But that's to the well site. If I go there, we'll go back to the well site. But here's the mileage. Now we're at 12340, right? That don't seem right, but anyway. Something weird about that, but anyway. Seems like it stayed the same. Oh, it just turned 4-1, okay. All right. Now, I'm going straight, because if you left that well site where Dan was last seen, and you come up this way, it's only about a 1/4 mile north, right? We're still going north. But you see here, I can say, hey, I'm gonna stay left some tracks on this road. It's impossible. Look at all these tracks on this road. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a lot of tracks on the ground from vehicles coming up this way. All right. That's why I know a lot of people do come in here. That's why I say I'm not the only one to be out here in this desert. So, you know, you have to be careful out here. You don't know who's out here and what they're doing. But I'm here. Came up, now I'm up to this other well site. Oh man, it's bumpy. All right, this is coming up to the other well site. Now I want to get the mileage to this one. Let's see what the mileage is. All right, this other well site that I had checked. The one that got the little debris on the bottom that I'm suspicious about, but let me see the mileage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right. So I'll just try to see this 2 miles. Well, I'm gonna see if the miles match up. Maybe it's less than 2 miles, and they say call it the 2 miles, or what? But I'm gonna find out. Okay, one thing I want to say that was in my thoughts is that it's plausible for them to call this well site 2 miles away, right? Because when it turned to that next notch, it turned closer. It's closer to 2 miles. This well site than the well site that was my son was that I was told that my son was last seen. So when I look at that over again, this whole footage, yes, for me it's plausible that this is actually the well site where my son was last seen, and not the one that we call the one that he was last seen. Again, even with that, if you guys around the area right there, the area is exactly what it was all the time. There's no, you see the vegetation around there. There's no place to even stare off of the desert. Also, that this well site here. Also, like I said, that's what he told me. 1 mile west, when you come off Sun Valley Parkway, then you go 2 miles north. And you can almost imagine, you saw that meter didn't change much at all, once I got to that junction where it should turn off to go to that first well site. But if I would go straight, it said the same. Well, it changed a little after I passed that junction. But if you was to go a little farther, when I went around the circle right here, by the time I started making the bet, that would make that 2 mile mark. So that's what I was going over the other day, and I was saying, hey, that's kind of strange to me. They said 2 miles. 2 miles would be more plausible to the second well site than the one they originally told me was my son. So I'm looking into that also. All right, but anyway, all right, let's see if I can pause this real quick. Okay, and I do want to stop real quick. Also was want to mention that this well site I'm standing at now also is the well site that I showed you guys the footage of one time in the past. There's some questioning about things that's in the well site, in the well itself. What it was is some of one of the guys in the company that went down in that well for me say those wells supposed to be clear. That well, I'm gonna work my way from the bottom up. That well at the bottom had a fence pole around it. You saw me drive around that circle there. There's a fence pole. One of those fence poles are missing. It's down in that well. Down in that well, I don't know if you guys know how a fence pole is, but it's when it stands straight up on the ground. Well, that fence pole is down on the bottom of that well, in the settlements, down to the dirt settlements. And on that pole is an area where the pole that goes horizontal connects into the vertical part of the pole. On top of that is a mound of dirt. That indicates that somebody was dumping a large amount of dirt down in that well also, and it collected on that pole. So I had the videos of that. You guys seen that again. And then as you work your way up, there's a structure there. It's like a big old wood structure that I'll call like the trestle of a railroad track, the same type wood they use under the wood under there. It's pretty much like that thick wood that they put down in there, but it enlarged itself sideways, so it didn't go down straight down to the bottom. Then they attempted to take a bigger pipe and sit it down there, but that wood stopped the pipe, so it is sitting there. So that's the reason why the guy had to take the camera through the pipe just to get down to the bottom of the well. But like I said, we got down to the bottom of that well, the settlements down there. He tried to move around because we saw this disc shape, and to us it looked like the top of a human skull, but I'm not sure. I have somebody to look at that, so I'm really, you guys, if you pay attention to that. And also, I will be playing that video again pretty soon, maybe sometime this week, and I'll discuss what I've seen again at the bottom of this well here that I'm standing. Okay, see if I can continue this. I had to get out the vehicle for a second to do something. Anyway, look at all this brush here around this area. I just want to get on out of this desert now. But anyway, I'm going with this mileage again from this well site. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Oh, man, I had to do something out there in the desert, and man, tell you what, that brushing don't play. When you get stuck with these thorns and all kind of stuff, come with some of these desert plants. So just have to be careful with a lot of that. So anyway, all right. I wish I could do better with these tracks though. I was hoping when I finish this video, you guys have to see what I'm saying with all these tracks still here for months, even after the rain that we did have. We did have a rain, I think in could have been in February or so. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But rain. When I say rain, it was a short rain. It was. That's what I'm saying. When it rains here, it's really short. I don't really call it rain. We call it sprinkles. But anyway, this guy claimed there's a lot of rain. In those set of months when it wasn't the monsoon season yet. So, anyway, all right, we're coming back up to the junction where the well site come in at from this well. And from that well, the north well, to the well where my son was last seen, this is the turn coming up. You can see how the tracks start to curve over towards that way. Alrighty. And that's the well over there. You can see a little orange tank there. Okay, yeah, I knocked the camera off when I hit the button, but that's the tank there. The road that goes to the well. This is the mallet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. And then I'm gonna continue on again, coming from that north well site. And I'm out of the desert. Once I get finished this, I'll be out of the desert. Get on out of here. Get ready for you guys who coming out to the city distribution. Tired, but you know what? My son is worth it. Hopefully I get to go pass out these flyers. The other weekend, we went out there last weekend, we passed out close to 1,000 flyers. It's only 3 of us that's out there. Did a very good job. I was able to pass out flyers yesterday with a couple of my teammates. You know, went out there to pass out flyers to some barbershops and, you know, you name it. You know, and you know, it's the whole point of getting this Daniel's story out there. Also, volunteers today took a lot of flyers. Look at these tracks right here on the ground. Look at all these tracks. Haven't been washed away yet. There's the same road that this guy said that he traveled. But like I tell you, mind you, this road is wider now. It wasn't this wide. But he stayed left of the track. Let's say it was wide. Let's pretend like it was, but it wasn't, but let's pretend it was. He stayed left of the tracks, like he said. And he was riding the sideline. Trying to say left of the tracks because he didn't want to disturb these tracks because he know the police are gonna come looking and this thing's gonna be big. Now, the only problem I have with this whole story too is, which I know, like I was saying, you can tell the story I have, the problem I have with the story is just saying he followed some tracks. And somehow my son's tracks got washed away. I mean, everybody's tracks got washed away, but Daniel's, right? So he's able to determine that Daniel, this guy's, he's filled a lot of skills. First of all, he's a tracker. He can look at tracks and tell what people are doing, to be able to look in the eyes and see if they dilated and all kind of stuff. I mean, he's a doctor and everything. So I gotta watch out because this cattle was out here on this corner. I don't know where he went to. I want to make sure I don't stir because they had their little babies. But what I'm saying is, he's driving down this road and he had to literally say, and I'm saying it was tracks here. He said it wasn't. He had to say, okay, that must be Dan. Daniel went this way. He didn't go this way. He went that way. So I'm gonna go follow him that way to see, because out of all those tracks, like I said, Daniel tracks the only one survived, and he went that way. He went that way, and I had to follow it to find out till I get to this fence and all this kind of stuff. He said. So what I'm saying is, you all, I have a real hard time believing that story. I really do. You know what? I'm not trying to, for sakes, I'm not saying to call a man a liar. All I'm saying is, his story don't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? It don't make sense to me. It seems fabricated to me. And I don't understand how these police department can even hear that story and then follow what I did. That let me know, first of all, they don't give a damn because they didn't even track the man's story, right? I can go here where these guys did this well. I think they did this well in February. Let me turn the camera around. And if you look on the ground, they still got tracks on the ground where they went up there to do their little well, right? Those tracks don't disappear. They don't disappear. I'm trying to find more tracks somewhere that's not even on the road, because I know we drove off road too, right? And you got to mind you, it had to rain sometime last year, right? And I'm trying to find areas. I wish I would have took you guys what I went through earlier. That I know no traffic comes down, and there's still tracks there. I just left an area near my son where his vehicle was found. This off the beaten path now, and there's some tracks out there that is there, still there from who knows how long. And it rained since last year to now, you know. It didn't rain much, like I told you. I haven't seen it rain since, you know, personally, in the Phoenix I'm talking about. Not here in Buckeye, but Phoenix. Haven't seen it rain since November, like November last year or something. It's been a long while. I mean, I'm not literally saying it didn't rain, because it did rain this year in Phoenix, but it was so light. It was like a sprinkle. I look on my porch and it was not even, you know, we don't call that rain in South Carolina. We call that a sprinkle. It was like a little sprinkle or something. So, but I'm just saying, you guys, that just don't make sense to me. The guy said all these tracks, I can actually just keep all these tracks that's on these ground that I can actually follow, that never get washed away off this desert ground. Don't ever get washed away. But somehow, look at all the ones way up on that curve up there, up on that hill. Back this camera up a little bit so you can understand that. Look at those tire tracks. That's some tracks that somebody did way back when, probably last year, right? It rained since that time, and they're still there. All these tracks are still here. So that's almost like me saying, well, let me follow Daniel tracks here, coming down this road right here, with all these tracks. We didn't come down this road today, you know what I'm saying? So it is so much, man. There's so much of the lies that I hear that I just don't understand. We make this video. I know I'm running out of battery power for this, but I just wanted to make this video to try to, and it bothers me. As you guys know, it probably, you know, you can tell it bothers me just the beginning. I had to go through everything, every scenario, and then not only that, you have to sometimes, as a real detective. Okay, the video got cut off from that point, but thank you guys for watching this video with me. One thing I want to say is, yes, I do not believe that story a little bit. You know, it just, like I said on the video, it doesn't make sense to me that the Buckeye Police Department, my opinion, haven't, you know, vetted that story the way I did. You know, go through that storyline and match it up. It's not ironic that, you know, he had to go through that fence to get in the area, down to the area where my son's vehicle was eventually located, for one thing. The other part is not ironic that there's a mile west coming off the Sun Valley Parkway, and then another 2 miles north that will actually take you to the second well site, or closer. That 2 miles will take you closer to that well site. If I was telling a person, give them direction to where I was at, and I was at that first well site or that second one, if I was at the second one, I would have said, hey, yeah, you come up about 2 miles, because it'd be more plausible. If I was at the first one, I said, hey, you come up about a mile, a little over a mile, you would be right here to this first well site. That's where I'm at. So, you know, so some of those things to me, just going down, that's what real detectives do, real detective work. I'm not hired as a detective. I don't have a status of a detective, but just because you have a badge and a name and a paper don't mean that you're a very great detective. You know, anybody can be a detective. Scooby-Doo, when I was a kid, they was detectives, little people on the cartoon. Anybody can be a detective if you sit there and look for clues. If you really look for clues and the answers are right there in your face, that's only if you go looking. If you don't go looking for those answers, you would not find him. So, that's my son. I had to be out there on the ground. I couldn't put myself settle with myself if I don't go through scenarios, rather they scenarios on the end that I believe, or the ones I don't want to believe. Like I told you guys, I even had searched the monastery that's really far away from where Daniel's vehicle was found. But nevertheless, I had to get it checked out only because the Buckeye Police Department mentioned that to me about a monastery. My son wanted to join a monastery, become a monk or something. I had to go check. It was closed due to COVID, but I had to go up there just to find out anyway. So I'm open to everything, every possibility. But when things don't make sense, we do have a brain. God gave us one thing, and each person have that, and that's common sense. Everybody have a little bit of CS, and we need to use it when we have that. So, and I'm not going to let anybody tell me otherwise outside of what common sense is and logic. So that's the reason why I took you guys through that scenario, through the film itself. I wanted you guys to see it for yourself and understand where I was coming from. All right. I want to also thank Alexa for being here again. Thank you, Sophia, for being here this morning. Taking time out and being part of the team, keeping everything straight. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. And you guys, please, for any information on upcoming searches, to sign up as a volunteer. Everything on pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. You see it strolling on the bottom of the screen. If you guys can go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, you can find everything you need. I'm getting close to the end of this Q&A, but I want to take some more questions if I can. I do have one from Kathy. Thank you, Kathy, again, for being here this morning, really showing your support. I really appreciate you very much. Do you know if that young lady had a boyfriend at the time that incident happened? No, I do not. That's one thing I had a discussion with my son. The 2-hour conversation we had, I was really disappointed with him for spending the night with a woman like that. He just met, of course. We had that discussion, and I told him the same thing. You never know. She could be married or have a boyfriend, things like that. Daniel felt like she didn't. She didn't mention that to him at all. So he felt confident that she didn't have a boyfriend or a husband or anything like that. That was her house, from what he's telling me, and he really believed that. So I do not know. I haven't any indications of her having any boyfriend or anything like that. I cannot say definitely that she didn't have a boyfriend or anything like that. But as far as I know, information that I know so far, no, I don't know any if she did or not. So thank you so much, Kathy, for your question. If anybody else have any questions, please put that big question mark there, the word question, followed by your question, or, a big capital letter Q. And I will keep going down and run into your question. So thank you. Thank you, Elaine, again, for being here this morning on this Q&A. I do have a question from Ra. The question is it true that the employee that knocked on your daughter's door came to one of your searches and had a oh shit look on his face? Well, he came to not just one search. I think he came to several searches at the beginning, of course. And one of the searches that he did come to later, where you saying, I guess you mentioned that he did have a type of look or sad look on his face, or some kind of really, like some kind of awareness on his face. We couldn't really pull it out. Is when it was the weekend after the vehicle was discovered. It was my searches that was spanning to the area, because I wanted to know where the area was. Where Buckeye didn't show me the area. That's how slack they are as a family. So disrespectful people. First of all, they met me in the parking lot to show me about my son's story, what they found, and show me the vehicle. I told you I've been through that vehicle at the compound. But one of the biggest things, I had a search still going, because I already had organized search going on. But when I found out I tried to find out where the vehicle was located, I did have the map. Like I said, Detective Biffin gave me the 2 maps, and my logistics coordinator, search coordinator at the time, he was able to locate that area with those pictures, locate the area where this vehicle supposedly have been found. So he knew about that quarry area that I just took y'all down in that video. That's the first time I was down in that area. Before you go over that hill I was showing you, that area there, that's the first time I was there that weekend. And that's the weekend that, like you said, the worker was at that site there. He had a look on his face. I don't know what that look on his face was, but we tried to determine that. Some people can interpret it all kind of ways. But yes, yes, he did have a certain look. I don't know if it's sadness or what the case may be, but yes, during that time. Thank you for your question, Ra. All right. Also, don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe button. That'll help with the algorithms to get the story out farther. My goal is, and the reason why I have a YouTube channel is not just to be out here talking or in some type of entertainment. It is to bring awareness to my son's case. As you know, the story gets old to some people. To the news network. So whatever the case may be, and they will not play, a Daniel story updates unless a significant update happened. They don't really would play anything about Daniel. So I had to do this myself. I had to keep the awareness going. Sometimes you may hear the same thing over and over again on this channel. That's because there are new people, like you're saying, you share, like, share, and subscribe. They have the algorithm to get out to more people who are going to come on who have never heard about my son's story, and they ask us those questions, and they want those answers, and I'm willing to give them some answers. So you may hear some of the same thing over again. So I ask you, thank you for your support on that. But it's helped other people to learn more about the story, and if there's more details, also, of course, I'll be saying that, and I'll give you updates. Like I said, this weekend, for instance, we're not going to have a search this weekend. I am having a real hard meeting with the team. With my search team and also my A team, we all getting together and we have a really hard, discussion, a big discussion this week about the future plans of the searches out there in the desert. So y'all be ready to hear about that. For now, I did update the website to reflect on the 30th to have that search out there on the weekend. So thank you so much. If you guys can just keep up with, please help find Daniel.com and you can keep up the information. Also, Tanya, thank you for being here this morning. I appreciate you coming out. I do have another question from Kathy. Thank you, Kathy, for your question. If employee lied, what do you think would be the reason? If the employee lied, I guess I'm not sure if you're speaking about the guy at the well, that worker. He worked for a company called Weber. He's worked for a different company from my son. If he lied, then Buckeye Department and my investigator, they're gonna have to determine the reason why he lied, if he lied. So I'm gonna leave that up to them. But you know what? Like I said in that video, I do not believe the story personally. I don't believe it one bit. So I'm just gonna leave it that way. I don't believe it, and it need to be vetted a lot more than just asking the person a question and then let that ride. So that's my opinion on that. All right. Thank you, Shauna, again for being here this morning. Thank you for all your hard work and everything you do. All right. Also, thank you, Maltese. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I guess you're from Australia. Thank you for being here and being a part of this Q&A. The question is, did they check the co-worker's vehicle? I don't think they checked anything. In my opinion, I don't believe Buckeye checked anything, because what they told me, when they tell me about their interaction with this guy, they said we spoke to this guy. They never said they brought him in an interrogation room. They never interrogated him. They never asked no deep dive. I mean, this guy's story came out literally before I left to come out here. You know what I'm saying? So, that next day when I was riding on the road out there, we had discussions about this guy, the worker, which is that guy. About his. That's what I've been hearing over and over from that department. So, before I got out here, they were talking about him. So the thing is, they put his story exactly how they gave it to me at the beginning. They even told me at one point, two different versions of him out of the worker from the company called to inquire about Daniel, and also that he said he just did it on his own accord. One of the things I want to mention out to you guys, if you felt like something was wrong with Daniel, and hey, you just that concerned about my son, and you saying you looking all in his eyes and seeing his eyes that are dilated and all this kind of stuff, and you notice his shoes untied, and you really expert to see tracks on the ground that end up going west. Why you couldn't just do a simple phone call? If there's a person out there and he had his number, I would have been the first thing I would do instead of going to all that little strain and run around the desert. I would have called his number and would have said, hey, blah, 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 so on, so on. The only time that man called Daniel's number after he went missing was late that evening. That's according to Daniel's phone. So, you know what? if he was really that concerned, yeah, he would have called immediately when he saw Daniel leaving that site. So it's a lot of things to that story that just don't fan right with me, and I just don't like it. I don't like it at all. Rod the Creator, thank you so much again for being here. Sunset Dragon, thank you for being here this morning. Good morning to you. Also, Stevie, thank you for being here this morning. Thank you thank you so much for that, and thank you for just being here. Thank you for sharing if you can. I really appreciate it if you do. So, if you guys have any more questions, please put the question there. I am running out of time here for this Q&A. It's going on 2 hours. I know my team is going to say something about that, but you know what? Thank you for being here this morning. I do have one from Alexa. Has there been any more developments regarding the red paint? My husband is a mechanic and very familiar with vehicles. Red paint would only get on there from foreign contact. No, there's no more. That's the reason why you guys have helped me so much to start collecting some money to get this forensics work done. To get that transfer paint tested and things like that. Red transfer paint that's on the side of that vehicle. Also, it's also not just a red transfer paint. There's also a slight yellow transfer paint there also on that same side. So I'm definitely gonna get those things taken care of. And your husband's right. There's nothing red in the desert, And I have yet to see these red rocks that he said the worker said he was painting the rocks red with red paint. So I have yet to see any red rocks painted red or anything like that. So I don't know that part of his story, but I do know that it's nothing red in the desert, right? So nothing red in the desert, and so the accident happened somewhere else, and that's what my former investigator, which that's what he does for a living. He's an accident reconstructionist. He used to be a motorcycle cop. So his expertise is in vehicles. It's not into forensics. His expertise is not into all kind of areas outside of that. So I just want to make sure that's clear. That's the reason why I have a different investigator who can specialize in those type deals. But yeah, the red transfer paint itself is, like I said, a real problematic for the story that Buckeye will have you to believe. All right, Stevie, thank you so much. Did the employee say that he saw Daniel driving the specific track? So he was able to see him or track where he went only because he followed tracks. Yes, he said his story is that he went to go look for Daniel, of course. After some time, there's two different versions you hear that. He said one version was that the workers alerted him that something Daniel was missing or somehow need to be found. And the other ones, he took it upon himself to see where he went. So even so, yes, his story is that he followed the tracks. He saw Daniel's track. He said, hey, the rain washed away the tracks because it's raining. I guess it's supposed to be raining so hard. And the only track, I guess, survived was Daniel. He said he followed Daniel's tracks. And when he got to the T-junction, of course, it went to the west. And he followed out there to the gate and so on and so on. So, yeah, he did look at, he's saying he was looking at, I guess, a specific track that he can track. And that was just Daniel's. He's very good if he can do that. I tried to do it for my vehicle. You guys see it there. I can't tell you. I've been out in the desert after the end of monsoon season. We had searches out there, and tracks don't get washed away. So to verify that, just from my own opinion and what I see with my own eyes, tracks are still there. Matter of fact, the tracks that the vehicle traveled across that terrain area. The tracks going down in that ravine is still there to this day, even after hard monsoon season last year. Those tracks are still there. The tracks that we have around that area up there where Daniel's vehicle was found is still there to this day. Nothing's ever been washed away. Those tracks look just as fresh as they was when they were made. So those type deals, that's what made me don't believe the story when it comes to track. That's why you hear me keep repeating this track thing over and over again because it defies everything I know when I'm out there in the desert myself. But thank you for your question. She was Nation have a question. Question: is it true that Daniel met with Ken at the entrance followed him in because he was unfamiliar with the area? If so, could he tell the agent where to go target practice in the area. He doesn't know. And that's a good that's right. That you know what? That's something I didn't think. See, that's the reason why it's good to have Q&A also, because of people like you can kind of throw out some of these things that like I said, a lot of things about the story about my son defies logic. You know what I'm saying? So that is something with the question you asked would be the same kind of thing I would think on a logic level. It doesn't make sense, right? Because that don't make sense. If my son is unfamiliar with the area, he's never been out there before, it'd be highly impossible for him to say, hey, no, they usually shoot over there like he's been out there before. Hey, I didn't think about that. So thank you so much, Heroes Nation. Thank you so much. That do make sense. Why would he be out there pointing out somebody in an area to target practice that's safer, that's BLM land, like he knows all about BLM land and all this kind of stuff when he never been out there before? So that makes a lot of sense. See, and I really think that you'd be one of those great people on my team that actually putting some of this stuff together. So thank you so much, Euro Nation. We're going to be talking about that this evening. So the team, I'm sure they're still on here. Hopefully they are. I'm sure we'll be talking about that today. So that's good. Thank you so much for putting that out there. But yes, he did meet him at the entrance there, and he followed him into the place because he didn't know. This is the first time they ever met. This is the first time that my son's supposed to be out there. And so, you know what, this whole narrative, because of even that question that you asked us now, it tears up this whole story that Buckeye have in their report, and that they since adopted as their own. You know what I'm saying? Their own theories to everything else that went on with my son. Again, stuff like that defies logics, and it defies common sense, and it defies so it's a lot of answers they will have to come up with on some of that stuff. So thank you so much, Heroes Nation. I really appreciate that. That is gave me another outlook on some of the directions there, and so we can make things clear. So thank you so much. Your question is very, very much on point. I really appreciate it. You keep on asking questions like that really help out with this case. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Also, thank you, Sophia, for that. Yes, we're gonna have. Thank you for your prayers. I already know how you feel about everything here and all your hard work. Like I said, you take the time out of your own business, whatever, to help me out here. So I'm really grateful. Also, so if you're still here, we're gonna talk about that what Shiro's Nation put up there, and it's a really good point that she's making. So thank you again. I do have Lois Strickland with a question here from North Carolina. While a lot of unanswered questions. Do you believe Daniel was ever there on the job site in the desert? It's a lot of things I do know already, but you know what? Those are good questions. Those are good questions. Those are questions that you can ask because, like I was saying, if you guys was to sit down hard enough and think about this whole story, just read that report, and you think about the whole narrative, the whole story, it would defy logic. It wouldn't make sense. Nothing adds up. And that's the reason why I repeatedly say to you guys over and over again, that's why I called and I appeal for the FBI to be in my son's case. And I've been fighting for that ever since, because I'm not going to let a department who allows some woman to upload her own emails, text messages, for instance, in their report, handle my son's case. I'm not going to allow a department that turned over my son's vehicle the day after it was found to me without doing fingerprinting or doing any kind of forensics work at the scene, or keeping it just in case, and keeping it closed just in case, and things like. I'm not going to let a department like that handle anything else of my son as far as I can help it. So thank you so much for your question. Also, yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions here. A lot of things that don't make sense about my son's story. And thank you again for being here every morning to support. And I appreciate everybody who came out this morning. I thank you, Breeze, for coming out this morning. And I really appreciate that. You guys showing up this morning and supporting this channel to get my son's story out there. I am running out of time again. I keep saying it over and over again. I really want to answer these questions while I'm trying to hang it up as much as I can. And thank you, Shauna. I think you really appreciate it. Again, if you're still here, we're going to talk about what Shiro's Nation. You guys can help me remember that. I need to add that into some things. So thank you so much. Lakeisha, thank you for your question. Did the rancher's property start at the X fence gate? Yes. That's where his property line starts. And it's all over the place. It's all over the place, but that's one, the area there where the gate is, that's his gate going back towards that direction. So his area, yes, his area of the property and things like that. So he have a corral down that way. So yes, that's definitely his area. That's the reason why he was able to say, hey, look, look for my cattle coming down the ravine. He told me how that ravine works. That ravine works. The cattle come down through there. I saw the cattle the other day when I was making a video. That's the first time I saw them on the other side of the fence. They never was out there on the other side of the fence. We see the droppings out there, but never see them volunteering. We always, every time I seen cattle, it took me forever to see them. First time seeing cattle out there was in late last year, and they always on the other side of the fence, usually on his side of the fence there. Somewhere out there in the desert near the washes, Hassayampa River, the areas and things like that. But like I said, most time cattle, I took my drone out. So usually when they hear us coming, they just take off. The bull, he'll start moving his herd somewhere else, away from us. So we never really see them. Sometimes people say, hey, cattle out here, because you never see them. You know what I'm saying? You get lucky if you do see them out there. But they are out there. Also, let me see, he was a desert lover. Thank you for being here. You live in northern Arizona. Yes, thank you so much. You have to love the desert. You live here in Arizona. And yes, thank you for being here this morning and being a part of this Q&A. Thank you, Shannon, for being here this morning and being a part of this Q&A. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody else who's out here this morning. I do have a question from Kathy again. David, did you address your concerns about everything with Ken? If so, what was his response? Well, you know, I'm a person like this. When you investigate, sometimes it's better just to listen than anything. So one of the things is with him, I just had to hear his story. I had to hear his story, take everything in. One thing I wish I would have done, which I normally would do, this is one party state, so I do a lot of recording. And so I should have done that. That's the only part. I did have witnesses there, but, you know, I should have recorded some of those things that I can have it to this day. But, you know, that's one thing is, like I said, it's sometimes better just to be quiet and let people talk. They tell you everything you need to know anyway. Just sit there and listen to them like he did. He told me everything I need to know at the time. So thank you for the question. All right, T and Wildflowers. Mr. Robinson, have you contacted VCAP, Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, which is a database for missing vulnerable adults? No, I have not. This is the first time I heard of that acronym and the first I ever heard of that period. So no, I have not. I will look into that also. Let me see. Let me make sure I write that down so I can look into that, see if that's something that I need to be doing here with my search for my son. So I will write that down right now so I can have that. All right. And I really appreciate you giving me that information to look into. Again, so thank you so much. Everything you guys do out here, it helps out a whole lot. I take in everything. I'm not an expert. You know, I'm just a man that's out here passionate about finding my son, and I'm going to do everything I can to do that. I had to put an investigative hat on. I had to keep my father's hat on. You know, I had to put different hats on, you know, just to make sure my son get his due justice that he deserves and his due respect, and somebody to go look for him like they should. And that's me. You know, I'm looking for them. And these law enforcement need to be doing the same. Pamela Garrison, thanks so much for being here. Was your son's clothes and socks checked for broken glass? No, I don't know what they're checked for. My private investigator in the past, my ex-private investigator, he had those items after Buckeye, the police department had those items. So I don't know if glass and things like that was checked. Or was that stuff checked for glass and stuff like that? So, but that's one thing to take note of. But I don't know. I don't have the answers to that. I'm still waiting on a report from my former investigator to what he did when he handled those items and things like that. He handled the vehicle and stuff like that. I need those reports, and I'm still waiting on those. So thank you. All right, Kim, thank you for being here this morning, being a part of this Q&A. I really appreciate you guys. I do have a question from Spivey. Has your son employer help with supply or offer any resources to help with searches? You say has. Oh, well, talking about the matrix, I believe you're saying. Has they help with any supplying or offers to resources to help? Oh, yeah, they offer resources, and I can't give the owner of the company gave a really great donation at the beginning of this thing, and also, like I said, the workers. I don't know if it's a job mandate or things like that, but they came out to help as much as they can. One of them took it upon himself when I first had that gate. You guys see the sign I have there for people to come on at the gate there, the banner. And that banner, one guy he took the owner my son's ex boss or whatever. He made a sign. He made a sign, a nice search for Daniel sign out of wood. He took it upon himself and out of wood frame. So you got some nice people there that work there to actually do some stuff. So to try to help towards Daniel, help me out there when I'm out there in the searches to get volunteers, to the right location and things like that. So they came out to help in my searches a lot, much as they could. So supplies and things like that, no, they're not providing ATV, UTVs, and drones and things like that. No, they're not doing anything like that. Those are things I was needing when I was doing my searches. I had scaled a lot of things back now, but those are the things I have been asking for a long time, and I'm doing everything I can to try to get. So, no. All right, I do have Firefly Tennessee, I guess. Thank you for being here this morning from YouTube. I really appreciate you coming out. Again, Kim, thank you for being here this morning, coming out. So it's Q&A. I do have a question here from Forever Curious. What color was the worker's truck? Well, the one I've seen was white. I don't know if he had a different truck at that point, but when I met him, he had a white vehicle. So thank you for your question. I do have one from Tanya Beth. Question, wasn't there red paint on Daniel's Jeep? Yes, there were. Red transfer paint on the front passenger side. Was that the same type of paint as the workers supposedly used? I do not know. I didn't know what paint he actually used. He'd say he sprayed paint on some rocks, so I don't know red paint. I don't know if it have any significance of being part of the type of paint that was on my son's vehicle, but we'll soon find out when those forensics work get done and things like that. But as in red rocks and stuff that he painted red, I have yet to this date seen anything out there in the desert with red rocks anyway painted red and things like that. So that's one thing I can say. Yep, we're still gonna look into that, Tanya. So thanks so much for being here on this Q&A also. And I see you say, oops, you had a duplicate question. That is fine. Like I said, if I miss your question, please put it up there again. I'm going down really fast. I do have going ahead and rush this off in a little bit. I'm at the 2-hour mark. Fresha, thank you for being here this morning from YouTube. Are the reports that Daniel may not have been in the best state of mind before he disappeared true? Kayla and the co-workers implied it. I can say it like this. 2 days before my son went missing, he and I had a conversation, and he was in the right state of mind, from my opinion. And and despite of what you read in the report, that's a lie, and I'm saying it straight up. I did not ever tell that Buckeye Police Department that my son was in love with a woman he didn't know. So that was an attempt for me, in my opinion, to paint my son as unstable, emotionally unstable, and things like that. As in for the co-workers, speaking about my son's state of mind, I personally had board meetings with his company, and they often told me they have rarely ever seen Daniel in that office. He's a field geologist. He's a field geologist for a reason. He have a work laptop that was found in the vehicle. He have a work laptop for a reason. He don't come into office. He don't go see his co-workers. On time they have the field geologist, what I was told by his boss, is on time they see them is whenever they come to turn in the samples sometimes. Sometimes they see them, sometimes they don't. Because they have a little side door. They'll come in through the side door. They'll drop it off. They go back out that side door and keep it pushing. They only sometimes even see them come in the door. So where this whole narrative that Buckeye came up with and say about these coworkers that's unidentified coworkers, just like the other lady who was with the woman that my son spent the night with. The other lady's name, she's nameless. They have never even asked her questions about that night. She was there too. There's another young lady, still don't know her name, don't know who she is. She was there too, but they don't put that in a report. So everything that's, in my opinion, is designed in a way to paint my son in a picture that he's not. It's often happened that way, and I had to put it this way, but it's true. It's often a way to diminish the character and the value of a person of color a lot of times. And that happens all the time to us. We get diminished some kind of way, make us seem like we're a victim of our own crime or something, something that happened, something we did to ourselves somehow. We are a victim of ourselves. We don't have the decency and respect as a scientist. You'll never hear them say anything that way. If Daniel was a police officer or something like that, they would have never came out with some story about and let some woman upload her own text messages to their report and say things. Oh well, some of the officers said he was acting a little strange and odd, and that's some reason why that type of deal. They don't feel like they should. Hey, we're not going to. He's a grown man. If he want to disappear, he can. And then once they found the vehicle was found. Hey, here's his stuff. Going back to South Carolina, we don't even have a case. That they told me they don't have a case. They don't have more leads to follow. What they told me, they put it on their Facebook page. Like I said, they deleted that post when people started asking questions about it. When they heard me start talking about it openly, and then also they told my investigator they didn't have an investigation. That's why they turned over that black box data. Where do you think he got that data from? He got it from the Buckeye Police Department. They turned it over to him, told him they don't have an investigation in my son's case. But now they all of a sudden magically do. So, I would not let that department handle anything concerning my son any longer, as far as I can help it. As it reports, like you said on that right here, state of mind, in my opinion, my son's state of mind was clear. He's clear enough to go to one well site to do a job, and then supposedly came up to another well site to do a job, if all of that is true. So his state of mind was clear. So I wouldn't take the words of some people that Buckeye went to had a guy come in to do a report on my son's vehicle, right? Say, hey, yeah, he came in through this thing, he wrecked his vehicle in that ravine. Remember this now. That guy that they hired, instead of putting money on drones that I needed out there and it helped me go search my son, they spent thousands. I know how much I paid my first investigator. They paid thousands of dollars for this accident reconstructionist. When I already had one, they paid thousands of dollars for this guy just to for a guy who never seen my son's vehicle, never seen it, never touched it, never touched my son's clothing. But he made a full report in their report. And then not only that, the insult to injury, this guy went to a dealership. He didn't go to the Jeep makers. I forgot the name of the company that I wrote, but they actually make the Jeep itself. They didn't go to Jeep. They went to some co-workers, probably knocked on the shoulder. I don't know how they did it. And say, hey, what you think about this? And they say, yeah, blah, blah. Yep, that's it. And they put in their report. It's ridiculous stuff like that to me. And we're supposed to somehow just go with that. I think with all of that, I'm supposed to go with that and then go back home to South Carolina and say, oh, well, I tried. My son is missing. Nothing I can do about it. No, it's something I can do about it. And that's why I'm here to fight for my son's character, fight for his name, and fight for his honor, and fight for his justice. So I'm here. That's what a father do. So thank you for your prayer, Ruthie. Thank you for being here this morning. You guys, I'm definitely have to get off because I'm getting to a point where I will be, getting kind of up there. I guess some people call it rowdy, if they want to put it that way. So, I apologize for that. Have some of those moments. I'm human. I'm a human being, and I do have, emotions. I try to make sure I keep those things intact because I have to be sharp for my son. But you know what? It's times get hard. I do have a question from Pamela. How could the coworkers and coworker or worker have a comparison on? Well, I'm not sure. I can't really understand the question, but I'm trying to find a way to understand that question. Maybe I'm just reading wrong, but if you could rephrase that question, Pamela, I really appreciate it. I apologize. I would like to answer that question, but I'm trying to figure that part out. So if you can rephrase that, if I can get to your question today. If not, I do have a Q&A this Wednesday. If you guys, I'll come back Wednesday I have two. On Wednesday, it'd be again Wednesday morning 6:30, but also we have one that evening at 5:30 Mountain Time, 6:30 a.m. Mountain Time, and 5:30 a.m. Mountain Time, p.m. Mountain Time. So that'll be 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and I think it's 8:30 a.m. p.m. Eastern Time. So you guys can come back for that Q&As, both of them on that day, and also on Friday I have one again. So if you guys can come back and support that, I really appreciate it. And I think that's it. I don't see any more questions, so I really thank you guys for being here for this Q&A. Thank you for joining in, and thank you for hanging in there with me. I know some of the stuff is over and over again, but please hit that like, share, and subscribe button to help this channel out. More information you can go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. Don't forget that tip line, the anonymous tip line, 24 hours, 7 days a week operator to take your tip that you have, whether it's you want to be anonymous or non-anonymous. They allow you to do that. If you just don't want to talk to anybody, again, you can just text the word tip to that number, and you still can remain anonymous if you like on that form that you have to fill out. So thank you so much again, you guys. I love you, and please pray for me and my family. This journey is getting a little tougher, and look up for this foundation that we're working on, Daniel Robinson Foundation. Don't forget about Wednesday, fast and prayer for Daniel. If you guys can put hashtag fast and prayer for Daniel, I really appreciate that. Just capitalize each of those words at the beginning, the first letter of those words, hashtag fast and prayer for Daniel. If you guys can do that for me, I really appreciate it. And you can join in on Wednesday. God bless you. And I hope I'll see you then on the next Q&A.